Success in farming is all about precision and efficiency, ensuring every seed, every drop of water, every nutrient and treatment counts. Terraplex Ag is helping farmers all over Iowa and the Midwest do just that. With precision ag drone technology and support from Terraplex, you'll boost your productivity and make timely and informed decisions, all while reducing your costs and increasing your profit. It's time to revolutionize your farming. Harvest the benefits with Terraplex Ag. Visit TerraplexAg.com.
What is up? It's Williams and Blum here on the 3rd of July. Independence Day show. Not going to be much of that, though. Not going to lie. We will talk about the good old US of A just a smidge here from the Wild Rose Casino Studios. We are presented, as always, by our friends at Mechdyne. Iowa State gets a top 100 basketball big recruit. Big 12 football poll is out. And today's look-back game, the tornado game. That's all you have to say, Bloom.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. Aiden, 2005, November. You were how old?
4.
Oof. Oh, just a little bitty guy. Just a teeny tiny little Aiden.
That was 19 years ago. Are you serious right now?
Yeah, we were talking about that last night. Damn near 20 years ago from the tornado game. Get to that in our Wiffles Hybrids segment for tonight. Start things off with the Big 12 media poll, which came out yesterday. I talked about this on my CW pod, Bloom on Iowa Everywhere. I didn't turn in a ballot this year because I didn't think I knew the teams enough, to be honest with you. Your damn portal has made it really freaking hard to do honestly, like
it's hard.
I don't know. So, and like, I think Arizona's way overrated at 5. But all the Arizona people think that they're going to win the damn league. So it's like,
I want to know who the 3 people are that picked Arizona to win the league, and I want to have a talking to with them.
I'm with you. I think they're the most overrated team.
So everyone's going to be fired up about a couple things. I think Iowa State's.
I think it's fair.
It's fair. It's about
anywhere 3 to 6. I think you can make an argument.
Yeah,
for Iowa
I
State.
think honestly, I do think 1 to 9. This is why this league already is going to be nuts.
Would it surprise you if Texas Tech is in the championship game? It wouldn't me.
No.
I mean, and even like TCU, like
Same.
They have a ton of talent. I don't think Colorado.
I was amused, and I understand it. This is the world we're living in. The headline nationally was Colorado picked 11th. It wasn't. Here's the
Kyle
Big 12 media. Here's the Big 12 media poll.
Yeah,
it's like, we're doing this with Prime already. I'm for it because when they go 4-8, it's gonna be hilarious. Here's one beef I do have, and I get it.
Let's see it.
I get it. I respect them. I was there in Manhattan. Are we sure K-State should be getting 19 first place votes?
I mean, I would have voted for Utah.
Same.
Yeah, that would have been my pick.
Here's my thing with K-State.
There's not a lot of. My point is there's no. I think is there that big of a difference? Iowa State doesn't get 1 first place vote.
Correct.
Kansas State gets 19.
And the game was played last year.
Yeah.
Iowa State won. Iowa State has everybody coming back. This is where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
K-State has some good players coming back. Don't get me wrong. They have some really good players. I think quarterback's a stud. He's going to have a great year. They're going to be good. They return 1 offensive lineman. You can't. Maybe they're just loaded with linemen at K-State, and they're going to figure it out. And I'll look like a fool if they make a playoff. I understand that, but to give them 19 first place votes, it just seems like a lot to me. I would have voted for Utah. I think Oklahoma State's fair there. I think Kansas is going to be good. I actually respect the fact that the voters put them in the top 4 because it still is easy for some people to say, oh, it's Kansas football. We're done with that. They're going to be really good this year. Arizona is like, yeah, they were good in the Pac-12. I don't think they're going to be as good in the Big 12. But to Iowa State, again, 6th is fine. I think K-State is a little overvalued at 2. I respect Kleiman. I like the program they have. But we learned it the hard way at Iowa State. You have 1 offensive lineman returning. I don't care how good your quarterback is.
How much have you looked into the schedules?
I haven't, and this is why I could sound like a huge idiot, and I do anyway.
So I looked at Arizona's, and it's hard. Like their first 2 Big 12 games are Kansas State and Utah on the road. Like I also just like it's hard to switch leagues.
I agree.
That's a hard thing. You have no scouting on anybody.
And I don't
It's-
know. I
that's
don't
a
know
real
enough
thing.
about the Arizona football coach at all. He's coming from San Jose State. I mean, that is a tough adjustment. Very rarely. They've got a couple things working against them. New league, new coach, and they lost a bunch of
They
players.
still don't have a lot of depth.
Yeah, they don't
Like,
have depth.
They kept a lot of their
They kept a lot of their studs.
studs,
Yep.
yeah. But there's just not a lot of depth there.
I think I was surprised by the votes for
It's like
K-State.
talking to us at a party in college. It's not a lot of depth.
Not a lot of depth. No, I would
It'd be like these guys are elite intellectuals, but
that's it. There's a reason we ended up at
Welch Avenue Station, baby.
in the back, and
greatest bar in Ames.
not with Blythe and Meyer at Sips.
I spent enough nights with Meyer and Blythe at Sips. Last me a lifetime.
And the girls weren't looking at you.
They were not looking at me. We always told them I was the punter that was on, and swear to God, I was in town on a recruiting trip, and the bouncers at Sips let me go to the front of the line with the boys.
I think one of the bouncers at Sips at one point was one of the Fisher twins.
Oh, yeah. One of the Mormons, eh? Weren't they Mormons?
Well, I don't know. I don't know the religion. I know they were from Utah and they were large individuals. I'm pretty sure they were bouncers at one point.
Real quick, this is cool. I was over hanging out with my buddy Bill Morris at Game Day Men's Health today.
Yeah.
Told me to tell you guys, if you're currently going to any other men's health clinics in Des Moines and you switch, he'll give you a month free. Think about that. A month free at Game Day Men's Health if you make the switch.
How's 40 treating you so far?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty good. It was a great weekend. Thank you for all that you did. We had a fun night on Friday.
Have a fun night.
A lot of fun night on Friday. How'd you feel on Saturday?
I felt fine. I was actually the one who was responsible.
That was a hell of a gathering.
It was a great
people that came together.
Great group of folks.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of fun. Thank you for all the fanatics out there who sent me nice notes. It was pretty cool. No, I had a good weekend. It was pretty chill. Just camped. Went and I was in the pits at Adams County Speedway on Saturday night with the big late model tour. Like, over half those drivers are diehard Cyclone fans who listen to the show. Hollywood Haney from Webster City. Of course, my guy Charlie McKenna. Kurt Schroeder. Chris Speaker. All diehard fanatics who listen to our show on a daily basis.
Honored. That's great. Did any of them win?
Not on Saturday. John Benning, don't want to forget about John. We have a lot of guys out there who are just diehards. Pretty cool stuff. They were all coming up and give me high fives, and yeah, it was awesome.
That's great. They knew it was your birthday.
They did. They kind of had a little impromptu little party for me in the pits afterwards. It was kind of nice, to be honest with you. We had a really good time. Anyways, yeah, that was my weekend. Come back here. So we got this. And then Big 12 Football Media Day is a week from today.
Are you going?
Yes, I'll be flying out on Monday.
Vegas.
Vegas.
Where are they holding that at?
Allegiant Stadium. They're
okay.
The Bellagio is hosting the media, which is just I don't know. I'm not a Bellagio guy.
Yeah, you don't strike me as one.
I don't fit there. Yeah, I'm staying there because
I agree.
I'm literally staying there because there's a shuttle. And it's just so much easier.
Yeah, you don't want
if you have the media shuttle.
Walk.
But God, I'm just more of a circa like Fremont Street type.
You have to find your way over there. How long are you there?
I'm just staying for 2 nights. I am not even going to media day on the second day. It's too much.
When is Iowa State?
First day. I'm going to Yormark, and I'm going to go to Iowa State stuff and whoever's on that first day. And then the second day is just like the officials, and it's like you would like it, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's not enough substance. The league's too big. And it's hard to get a flight out of Vegas. Have you ever noticed that? Like, for being as many people that are in that town to get good flights back, I wasn't going to be able to get back to like middle of the day on Thursday. So I was like,
you got a direct flight?
Yeah, they didn't have any directs on Thursday. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to come back Wednesday.
Is the Yormark the most interesting part of that?
It certainly is to me.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly is to me.
I think it's Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting 6 to 9 months for the Big 12.
Like good, interesting.
Yes. You're going to see
you
more and
think-
more the ACC is going to get
Yeah.
potentially picked apart.
Do you think?
And here's let me throw this out there.
Okay.
For the Big 12, are you proactive in trying to poach an ACC school,
I think.
or do you wait till everything hits the fan with the SEC and Clemson, Florida State, and those?
If I'm Yormark right now, I am. Say we're at the club, right?
What kind of?
I'm not grabbing Louisville's rear end on the dance floor.
What about Syracuse's rear end?
No, I'm not grabbing his or hers rear end either, but I'm definitely whispering something into their ear. I'm flirting.
What about Syracuse? What do you think about that?
No, it's nothing like that. I'm doing what I did to Colorado and to Arizona State, where I'm saying, hey, Louisville, you're not going to have a place to land.
Here's some potential.
What about Duke?
See, here's what I'm hearing.
NC State.
Yormark is all about the New York corridor right now.
This Yormark, I get it. He's doing what he's told. I don't think I'd want to have I don't know, but I don't think I'd want to have a beer with. Like I can respect him. I can think he's doing a good job for the league. He's not my kind of guy, I don't think.
We're kind of getting into the whole let's really lean on basketball conversation right now. In that, the Connecticut and the Syracuse thing.
Oh, and you can't take Connecticut.
I'm just telling you. We have we're looking at that.
Are you speaking out of turn? Like, do you have information?
I'm just speaking to what I think is happening. My point is,
what about Louisville? Like, then if it's like, come on, like you want people who care about basketball.
The thought is, to your point, what do you always say? Lower your standards, up your average.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't go Florida State, Clemson, because you're not doing that.
And that's how he got the Four Corner schools, is they jacked around with those guys instead of the big dogs.
Right. So you go after the low hanging fruit,
and then it destabilizes everything.
And then it all goes. Correct. So the thought is, here's the MO if you're the Big 12 right now. It's a fascinating discussion. Do you want the ACC to exist or not?
No.
Or do you need help? You know what I mean? Like, could the Big 12 and the ACC team up and at least provide some sort of sounding board to the other two?
They're both too big is the problem.
Because I don't see a world where the ACC's poaching the Big 12. I don't
know
that
possible. SMU is going to end up in the Big 12, right? Like, that's going to happen.
I guess
they got too much money.
So here's what I'm thinking. This is just a fascinating discussion.
I don't want Cal and Stanford. They're not. Get them out of here.
Don't worry about them.
I don't want anything to do with the elitists.
You either wait for the thing to blow up on its own, okay, and then you inherit whatever comes your way. Then you're not the bad guy. Or you're proactive. You go after, let's say, a Syracuse and a Connecticut. You say, hey, join the basketball league.
Yeah.
And
that's where I think like an NC State and those would.
And then they think, well, do we need to join too? Right.
Yeah.
And then that destroys the ACC. Now, the issue is you don't have the money to just welcome 4 new schools.
No,
you don't.
But I could buy them a drink and say, hey, what are you doing in 5 years?
I think it's part of me wonders if Yormark, and again, respect the guy.
No doubt.
Respect the guy.
He's killing it.
But are we getting a little, I think we might be getting a little overzealous with this
stuff. They bring that.
Here's my fear.
If they bring that freaking basketball tournament to Madison Square Garden, I'm going to blow a gasket.
It's not even that. It's if you keep adding, and I understand because it's a very much he's in the kill or be killed still like.
Yeah.
And I would say this about Yormark. He wants to win the press conference.
So he's going to have something up his sleeve on Tuesday.
He is. So I'm telling you, but the other part here is Yormark going to be the one to pay the bills 10 years from now with all this stuff?
Well, and that's my fear. I love basketball, right? Like
So do
everybody
I.
knows this, but it doesn't pay the bills.
Right. And so that's where
You don't want to be too locked into being the basketball league. You have to put the majority of your resources into football still.
it strikes me that Yormark is so hell-bent on being on the same level as the Big Ten, the SEC, that he just wants to keep creating stuff, Like he just wants stuff out there.
It's chaos.
He just wants to be in the news. When he's not going to be the Big 12 commissioner in 15 years, but they're going to have to pay the bill. The bill will come due. Like the whole private equity thing, which you can get the money now to stay competitive, but who's going to pay it when they need their 20% 15 years down the road?
Do you think they will introduce a corporate sponsor of the Big 12 next week?
I don't think it'll happen next week. I do think it's going to happen.
If they were going to do it, that was the time to do it.
So I guess the point is, what I think is happening is you're still having the divide of those that want to take it easy, slow wins the race, and the commissioner who's very much like, we need to keep up, we need to keep up, we need to keep up now. And I'm kind of conflicted because I can see either way. Yormark is not going to be here in 10 years to help Iowa State out if private equity says, hey, Iowa State, you owe us money now.
I'll bet you one thing. There's going to be some sort of leak story between now and the start of media day that's like a big news story.
There's no question.
Somehow about the Big 12. They will leak something.
Again, like the guy, I think he's done a lot of good things. The Big 12 owes Yormark a lot. He strikes me as somebody who always just wants to keep being there, being front and center.
He's pretty smart with that.
But you run out of things to be like, you can't. It's your old adage with Fanatic and the premium board. I'm giving you a free plug to your premium board.
Yeah.
You are not going to create news.
Yeah, I tell them that all the time.
Just to have news if there's no news.
Some months are quieter than others.
Sometimes you just need to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't need to keep doing stuff.
And if I keep spamming you with stuff that isn't actual, then the premium information isn't worth as much.
That's my fear right now with Yormark. It's like you take a breath. I understand what he's trying to do.
I'd like to see him not show up in a tight suit. Yeah, show up in a polo.
It's not going to happen. Anyway, that's
just kidding.
That's a little bit off topic.
He is very smart with this media stuff. He plants stuff all the time. I mean, somebody from his office is planting. I don't know if it's him talking to these people, but I think he got burned the last time.
I think he did too.
Private equity,
100%.
So I think that there's got to be something that comes out of that.
I would say there's pushback to, hey man, like, don't get too carried away here with all this.
I just hate the fact that the media days are in Vegas. Selfishly, I'm cool with it because I like Vegas, but I hate the fact that these like Utah fans think it's because of that.
Do they really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have a problem with them, aren't we?
No, they're already the worst fan base I've ever dealt with.
I am excited to go to Salt Lake City for that game.
Okay.
Do they really think we're going to Vegas because of Utah?
Yeah, they think it's a welcoming to them from the Pac-12. I'm serious. Wednesday pod here on Cyclone Fanatic. Williams and Blum. We are presented as always by our friends at Gravitate Co-working. Check them out at gravitatecoworking.com today.
Syracuse and Connecticut say we want in. What do you tell them?
I'd say, listen, I can't do that right now. I'm in a relationship, but I have had my eye on you, and I'd love to buy you a drink and see what happens in 5 years. But you can't just take them, though.
You can't. I know.
Like,
I agree.
they're in a grant of rights, like,
I know. I agree. It's just it's interesting that
that's why you do it all. Get in their DMs, slide into their DMs.
Just say, hey, just in case something happens.
I'm gonna slide right into Louisville's DM.
Is that what you do on the dating scene now? Is it all Instagram
I don't know.
DMs?
Aiden, what do you do?
Like if you're interested
if
in
you
somebody,
like a girl,
but you don't run a
I
like.
don't.
You don't.
You don't get on the that Grinder app?
No.
Like
that's the Sadie Hawkins one, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, that's the one where you get on there
that's-
and
I
then
don't
the
know if-
girls like
I don't think
they
that's-
come to you.
I don't think that's the wrong.
I don't think
Chris.
there's girls on Grinder.
Yeah, I think that's.
What's the one that's like the Sadie Hawkins dance app, where the boys go on there and they put their face, and then the girls that they're attracted to them, they come to them.
TikTok. No, not TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. It's TikTok.
No, it's not.
TikTok.
It's Bumble.
Bumble. That's the Sadie Hawkins dance one.
And then what's the one you got to match?
Grinder.
Tinder.
Tinder.
I would be lost right now.
I am
So
lost.
screwed.
So anyway, I wouldn't know how to flirt with Syracuse, and I don't know if I'd want to because I don't know what I'm doing. But I do know it would be. Connecticut and Syracuse would be on that. Hey, hey, we're around if you want to separate or you want us.
GravitateCoworking.com. Check them out for all of your co-working needs. My one hang up to the basketball conference thing.
Because adding Syracuse and Connecticut would be pretty legit in basketball. Like,
it all is awesome.
Fantastic.
But hear me out. Like, these Big 12 games are awesome, but they don't do that well television wise.
Yeah.
Like on a big,
nowhere near football.
I do believe that Yormark is right that they're undervalued, and they should be sold separately. I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But okay, let's say the Big 12 goes out and adds best case scenario: UConn, Syracuse, Duke, and Louisville. Okay, that's a badass basketball league.
Great.
What's the best it can do TV wise?
Not much more.
That's what you see my point?
I 100% do.
So, like, what are you trying? If you're trying to complete the best league, okay, but value-wise, from a television standpoint,
I agree with you.
There's still not much money in it.
That's why I'm afraid it might be kind of an ego play.
Mm.
I don't know if ego plays are ever the right move.
UConn,
they have won back-to-back national championships.
Yeah, but their football team is it's disaster.
Terrible. Just something to think about on your July 4th. Because you're not getting Clemson and Florida State.
Well, the other thing
you are
is
not getting Clemson.
There's
and
really
Florida
no good football properties out there. SMU would be the best one.
Well, Florida State and Clemson, but
they're not getting. I'm saying the ones that are possible. Louisville, they're the best athletic department out there.
I don't think North Carolina.
Pitt?
If I'm DM in North Carolina, they're not responding.
No, they're not responding. They're busy on Grindr doing other things.
Bumble. Well, whatever it is.
I mentioned I just turned 40. Sounds like
you and me would not do great in the dating world. It's probably best to keep it that way.
We are presented as always by our friends at Mechdyne, the Mechdyne Corporation here in the wonderful Wild Rose Casino Studios. Brent Blum, Chris Williams with you. Okay, let's thank our friends at Kelderman Manufacturing, Kelderman.com, where you can, they do all sorts of things. Kelderman sent me a picture of some work he was doing for our friends at Mechdyne in the laser cutting world, which is badass. I'm glad that they're working together. Also do all sorts of sweet suspension work, the diesel trucks, custom trucks. We told you about the suspension work that they did on the camper van from Plaza RV. Awesome guys down at Kelderman.com. Went dirt racing with those guys down in Oskaloosa last week.
Of course you did.
It's good to see them. Okay. Jamarian Bateman.
Oh, guys, I'm so excited.
I mean, really an elite shooter, elite defender. This is one of my favorite players they've signed.
I'm with you. No pressure, young man. No, so he's been a target for 2 years. And I think what TJ has proven, and to everybody, he locks in on somebody. If he and JR want him, I like the odds, specifically if they're from Wisconsin. But my favorite thing about this guy, and it's perfect. Number one, he was mentored by Mike Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Mike Taylor? The old Iowa State McDermott guy, one of my favorite players ever to watch at Iowa State. I think the McDermott era is different. If Mike Taylor lasts another year, it's another story. But this guy's game, it's like Mike Taylor plus an on-ball defender. I mean, this guy is an elite shooter. He's probably the top 2 or 3 best shooter in high school basketball right now. He can make it from wherever. He's athletic, but he really likes to guard. And my favorite thing is a great job by Connor and the story. He specifically mentioned Conrad Hawley in his commitment part. Like, I saw what that guy's energy is. I won't be like that guy.
Yeah, that's cool.
This guy's good.
CEO.
He's a hard worker and he can shoot it. And he's going to be instantly. Somebody told me, you know, Mike Taylor, Tyrus McGee, that type of guy, where not a huge guy, not massive, but he's going to fill it up. He needs to work a little bit more on the ball handling. He's gotten better there, but big time shooter.
And they, knowing a little bit of the background, really fell in love with him. It was love at first sight. This was not a highly touted guy when they first saw him.
He was not.
Yeah, and Iowa State identified him from day one and really got in there before anybody of substance came.
100%. It's one of those. It's why, if you're Iowa State, you better lock in on a couple of those guys early.
Yeah,
and then really, because he was at Hilton like half dozen times already. The guy's been in names a lot, but you need that because when the big dogs start calling, you're already like, no, I trust these guys, and that's how Iowa State's going to be able to win and continue to win. And he shoots it. I mean, he's a high volume guy. He's going to shoot it a lot. It's not like he's a different player than, you know, some of those more efficient. You know, he's basic. He's a little bit like Keyshawn in his ability to. He's going to need shots to score. I mean, duh. But he's not going to be super efficient like an 8 Heisey will be. You know, where Heisey will take maybe 8 shots. Bateman's going to need 12 to 15 per game.
I would say Bateman too, if he has a good year in the weight room, which I'm sure they're going to push him on. He feels like the type of talent with what Iowa State will lose in the backcourt after this year, who he could potentially come right in and play.
Absolutely.
Don't you think that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because you're going to lose Curtis, you're going to lose Keyshawn, and so you start
and maybe
playing
Taman.
Yeah,
I mean it's possible. I don't know.
He's going to start getting some, and so you saw Momcilovic got invited to that Nike camp for like elite guys.
I'd be shocked if he's there as a
next
junior.
year.
Yeah,
I think it's probably shocked might be a strong word.
Okay,
but it's probably 50-50 at this point. I think he'll get that much. He's already gotten that much better. And the scouts are aware of him. If he has any type of good year, anytime, unfortunately, if you get to your junior or senior year, a lot of times in the NBA eyes, you become old. So we'll see there. But to your point, I agree. Bateman comes in as a freshman, and they're going to need him to score. The good news is Noyes is going to be really good. Really, really good. So you're finding these guys out of high school who can really play. And the Moore kid can score it. The Mitchell kid can score it. So you're bringing in a bunch of scores from high school. I think the strategy is super interesting, just to get totally in the weeds. It's almost as if Iowa State's targeting in some way those scores out of high school, because scores out of the portal are a lot harder to get.
Great point.
And then you augment those scores out of high school with those big physical guys who will be for lack of a better term, the Bob Joneses, the Brant Chatfields who can bully people. Skill is so much more expensive in the portal than it is out of freshmen. So you get them, you keep them, you develop them, and then you add around them with pieces from the portal. And I think that's a really smart way to go. And Iowa State, with both Bateman and Mitchell in this class, 2 of the best high school scorers on the circuit right now.
I want to remind everybody of the event we have coming up. We have a bunch of events coming up. We're going to tell you about the one on July 13th. So we have Rocco's camp in the morning, which we're looking forward to. We will be broadcasting live from Rocco's camp in Perry. So thank you to We Will and the Becks for having us out to that.
Can't wait.
That night, what if I were to tell you we have an IPW World Championship match in Bondurant between James Jeffries, our champion, and the Big Picture? All the proceeds are going to Living Ava's Way, a charity that Brent and I are both very involved with. We're helping kids and families with cancer and all sorts of good stuff to honor our little friend Ava. We are having an Impact Pro Wrestling event in Bondurant at Brick House Fitness. So Bloom's wife has acquired a donkey that is going to walk around and deliver beer to you.
An ass.
Yes. You can literally, this ass will walk around and hand you a Busch Light. Will we have Ames Lager? I know she was working on it. We're working on the ass will insert the Ames Lager to your hand.
I don't know if that's the exact verb I would use, but yeah. You Don could be walking around and you can pick a Ames Lager off of it.
This is the rundown, okay? We've got the IPW Women's Championship between Kelsey Magnolia and Miss Frankie Ray. Maddie Starr.
Miss Frankie J.
Whatever. Maddie Starr is taking on AJ Smooth. And then we've got Victor Payne versus the Death Dealer. This is all at the Brickhouse Fitness outdoor field. $10 tickets. You're supporting the Living Avis Way Foundation. And Blum is going to have Iowa State players there signing autographs.
Yeah.
I was told that you are.
Yes, working on it.
Is this not true?
No, we are. I don't know who they are going to be yet, so I don't want to. Well, Chris, how do people buy tickets for this? Because they're going to go fast.
I'm going to just send it out on my social media. Okay. That's the best way. You can go.
And we're going to be there too. Are you getting in the ring?
Yes.
I'll just drink an Ames Lager with you guys.
I will be addressing the crowd. This could be a really fun thing. I hope we turn this into like a little bit of a Cyclone Fanatic event.
Let's do it. $10 is actually very reasonably priced.
Yes. And we're going to have a food truck. We're going to have kids like face painting, stuff like that, all that good stuff.
And if you haven't been to Bondurant, welcome to the growing metropolis.
If you go to the Living Ava's Way Facebook page, we have all sorts of like links and stuff to tickets as well. So that's going to be a busy day. I want to tell everybody that we have our Okoboji golf outing and event coming up as well. That's all over the We Will and Cyclone Fanatic Twitter pages. And I know that they were working on, I don't know if they've got it out there yet, but our event at Mississippi River Distilling in Eastern Iowa. For you Eastern Iowa clones, we do it every year. That is coming up in July as well. No, August for that one. Yeah. End of July
for the Cody Road.
Those
for the Cody Road event.
Pretty slick.
Pretty sick. So not a shortage of events that you can come and hang out with me and Blum at.
I can't wait.
Thank our friends at the Iowa State University Foundation. MoveWhatMatters.com.
Be more comfortable at the golf event than the wrestling event.
But not me.
I think you're opposite.
I will be. I'll be driving around.
We're both going to be very comfortable at the Cody Road event. That's like the night of the year.
Friday, August 16th.
Do we get our hotel yet?
No, but we need to get on
that.
We should probably.
We're not driving home.
No.
Look at those bottles.
Those bottles are
those
dope.
new bourbon bottles.
Absolutely gorgeous. Smokes. Very clean. Well done, Ryan Burchett. Okay.
Honestly, if you're in Eastern Iowa,
it's stupid not to come.
Need to be there.
Want to do our Wiffles Hybrids look back segment today. The tornado game. This was a special day for you.
It was, yeah.
Because you won that MediaCom contest with Hassel.
I did.
Did you call a play or a whole series?
So just the Cliff Notes version here. So the 2 weeks prior, MediaCom Connections, the old MC.
MediaCom Connections.
They had the idea of doing an American Idol for wannabe broadcasters, essentially. It was at Jordan Creek Mall. And so there was a winner for Iowa State, and there was a winner for Iowa. And literally, I show up at the mall, and you called a fake game that was on TV, and then Walters was one of the judges. I think Robbie Brooks from Iowa was one of the judges.
Bob Brooks?
And his son.
Oh.
And then the MediaCom people were the judges. Well, there were like 50 contestants for the Iowa State gig and 50 for Iowa. The winner got to call a play in the radio booth and spend the day with the Cyclone Radio Network and the Hawkeye Radio Network. Well, lo and behold, this guy, yours truly, won for Iowa State. And so I get to call a game in the Iowa State booth with my heroes, John and Eric, who I hadn't met to that point, which is crazy thinking back because now they're my guys. And so I was in the booth for that game, for the tornado game, and I was distraught, Sita, before that game because it almost never happened. And if that game, if it gets canceled because there was literally tornadoes in the area, then maybe that never happens, and maybe I don't do the radio thing, and then all this stuff is not this stuff. But however, the game does happen. I was able to call it not only because Walters and Hefter are the best people on the planet that I call a couple of plays. They let me do like 4 entire series. I called a Ben Barkema touchdown in that game.
Nice.
And then John Walters says,
Barkema's an icon.
He says at the end of the game, he goes, Brett, you've been good luck. How about you call the end of it? So I called the kneel down, the game-ending play in that game as well on the Cyclone Radio Network. And then John got me an internship and then later a full-time job because John Walters is the best. So I owe a lot to the tornado game, and it is one of my favorite games of all time for that reason. Plus, it was bonkers, completely bonkers.
I remember
you were tailgating, right? Like you had to you almost got blown away.
Well, I was covering the team then, but I remember for some reason I took that game like off. I just every once in a while I'd take a game and just be a student, back then, and that was that one. And I basically remember we had a thing out at our apartment watching game. It was like unseasonably warm, right?
Yeah, super warm for November.
It was
game.
just hot, and it's November, and we're all like wearing shorts.
70s.
And we get out there, and the tailgate, and I ended up in Hilton with a lot of these people, and it was an incredible atmosphere. I'm quite certain everybody just brought their beer into Hilton Coliseum. Which that was like cool
because there were police officers saying, "Hey, you need to seek shelter," and a lot of people were like, "Well, where do I go?"
Yeah, and like that was a weird.
And I don't mean to make light of it. It's like there
were people who lost their homes and stuff.
Did anybody pass away?
I don't know. People tailgating.
We're not tailgating, but anywhere near in Granger, I thought.
So a couple things I remember from the game. And my favorite is that Joel Klatt was the quarterback for Colorado.
Yeah.
Now the famous color commentator for Fox.
Yep.
So Brett Myers.
Yeah, one fatality.
Always remember that Brett Meyer is the better quarterback to Joel Klatt.
Not even arguable.
Draft Brett any day.
You look at these stats.
Big play Curvey is the play everybody remembers from that game.
2 defensive touchdowns in that game for Iowa State. One by Curvey when he rumbled down the field, and it was his second or third touchdown in his career, which is crazy for a man of Curvey's size. And Steve Gritty Paris had a pick 6 in that game as well. And Iowa State couldn't run the ball in this game, if I remember right. What do we got?
Stevie Hicks, 14 carries, 27 yards.
Yeah, okay. Couldn't run the ball. Neither could Colorado. It was so windy, though. Do you remember the kicker for Colorado?
Was it the girl?
No, scroll down there, Aiden, so you can find it. I'll tell you. It was Mason Crosby.
Didn't their coach badmouth a female kicker at one point?
Yeah, that was
in
a couple
season
years earlier, I think. But yes,
when he goes, Katie was not only a girl, Katie was terrible. It was like super sexist, and then he started catching hell for that.
He definitely said that.
If he said that now,
I just remember. You're right.
Do you remember that, Aiden? Find that clip on YouTube.
Katie Naida was the name of the kicker. Gary Barnett. No, I remember the quote. Not only was Katie a girl, she was terrible, guys. Was the quote. I could still recite that one. But Crosby was the kicker. And I remember he about destroyed the Jacobson building that day because he was kicking like 50-yarders and they were hitting the Jacobson building because he had that big south wind behind him. And man, that was a wind tunnel back without the south end zone. That's what I don't think people realize now. That place was so windy. It's windy now in Ames, but that stadium got crazy windy. So Crosby was banging field goals left and right. Iowa State got 2 defensive touchdowns. But the great thing about that game was Colorado was ranked. Iowa State took control of its own destiny to win the North, which was a huge deal at the time. We don't talk about how that season ended necessarily, but Iowa State was, with this win, was in a great spot to win the North for the first time with this victory. Todd Blythe had a big game. it was one of those games. And then Barnett said after the game, I think he said something like, man, I'm not intimidated a lot by mascots, but Iowa State brought a real mascot out today with the tornado.
Yeah, Klatz talked about that too. I think that was like the theme of the Colorado locker room.
And Iowa State got up 13-0 in this game. You thought they would coast, and Colorado made it super dicey. Iowa State needed both of those defensive touchdowns to put them away.
Shout out to our guy Brett Culberson, 3 of 3 in that game. 3 field goals that were huge.
Yes,
for it on a windy day. So he was critical in that, and I just remember how big of a game that was.
It was as big a game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big game feel in there because you knew Colorado Colorado still had this like
after
sizzle to it.
Post 2002 McCarney, it felt like one of the biggest games. Not to say like the 2005 Iowa was huge. They won that. As far as these Big 12 games go, that one just felt heightened.
You hadn't played a big game in November in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what it was.
And it was a night game.
And Colorado, to this point, they were, it was really them in Nebraska for the first 10 years of the North of like, well, K-State was kind of around there too. But they were a measuring stick, and Iowa State had been on that run. I mean, it still is one of the better stretches in Iowa State history. Iowa State beats Oklahoma State at home 37-10, then goes to A&M, which we talked about, won 42-14 in the dominated and Todd Blythe game. Comes back home, embarrasses Bill Snyder 45-17, causes him to retire. Honestly, like that game put him out to pasture the first time. And then beat Colorado 30-16. All of a sudden, now Iowa State has to go down to Kansas. Iowa State beats Kansas. It wins the North.
Well,
we know what happened, but that's why that game, you had to win that game to get yourself to a chance to win the North. And you win
and
the
then
North.
we did that, and we went down to, and it was freezing.
It was cold it was 2 weeks later. I would say I had a bye week. I would say had 2 weeks to stew on Kansas. And man,
really a terrible experience in Lawrence.
Well, you were up 14-3 at halftime, C-Dub. 14-3 at halftime in Lawrence to win the North. And you win the North. Now, I know what happened to Colorado ended up going that year and got completely destroyed by Texas. And that is possible that might have happened to Iowa State. But if McCarney wins the North that year, next year, there's no way Jamie can let him go. I firmly believe McCarney getting let go of Iowa State was thanks to one game and one game in particular. And that was the Kansas game in 2005.
Oh, yeah.
Because it really,
I don't know.
he lost so much momentum from not winning that game. And I don't know if it was fair, but he did lose momentum because of that. And that's when Brian Luke came in and threw it down the field, and then Kansas won in overtime.
You had the great column about guys with 2 first names.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Blum columns.
Shout out. Guys with 2 first names.
Can't trust them.
Well, Ricky Bobby and Aiden White would have something to say about that. Also, I found that quote.
What? So you're in the press box?
Hold on.
Oh, okay. Let's see it. This is the.
It was obvious Katie was not very good. She was awful. Katie was not only a girl, she was terrible. Okay? There's no other ways to say it.
God, he would be just canceled in 2 minutes now. Did he get canceled for that back in 2005?
He got talked about, but not because of that
horrible quote.
And it wasn't because of that quote. See, that was way worse than that. Way worse than that. Because she had a sexual harassment claim.
Oh, really?
Like there was go back and look at the Katie Nida story, and it's pretty ugly now.
Yeah, this quote is from an article all about that. So.
Yeah, okay.
It's brutal.
And he was starting to get defensive at this point because he is.
Oh yeah, because he would not have made it through the season that year. He did make it through that though. A different time though.
It's hard to remember which Colorado coach is where in those eras because they had Neuheisel. Right? Did they have? They had
Skippy Neuheisel.
They had Barnett. They had Boise guy Hawkins.
Yep, that was the series. It was.
Yeah.
And then who followed Hawk? I don't know. Now it's
then they're out of the Big 12, so we don't really care. That McIntyre was there for a while.
McIntyre. Yep.
But no, I'm glad to have Colorado back in the league. To be honest. Like I think that's. I just wish that it doesn't feel like these teams are in the Big 12 to me.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I know.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, no, I know. I just 16 teams is too many for a conference. But listen, this is just a 40-year-old man pounding his head against concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Say, get with the program, Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Get with the program, and I will. I just wish that we could protect some of these old Big 8 rivalries. I also want $1 million, and nobody's going to give that to me either.
Nope, not me.
Unless I go out and earn it. Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network, looking back at the Colorado game, courtesy of our friends at Whiffles Hybrids. So the tornado's happening. You're in the press box?
Yeah, this is the fun story. I am in the stairwell because you're in the press box. That's not exactly a place you want to be.
Well, no, if a tornado rips through, being in a glass press box is not a great
not
spot.
a spot. So
you could die.
I'm in the stairwell, but so you remember this gentleman, and rest in peace, but Bob Foster. Do you remember Bob Foster?
Great guy.
Longtime producer.
Love Bob.
Did the pregame and halftime show for Iowa State prior to when I took over for him in 2010. And so Bob we called him MacGyver, like old school radio guy, like had all the little tricks.
Yeah,
kind of a
he was
grizzled
sharp.
vet. Yeah. Could be kind of grouchy if things weren't going well, but one of those guys.
Get up your ass.
Yep. And so Bob was steadfast that he wanted to stay on the air despite the tornado warning in Story County. And so Bob took the wireless transmitter for the Brun sideline mic into the stairwell, and Bob's interviewing people in the stairwell.
No shit.
During
Can
the
we
tornado
go back and
warning.
listen to that? Is that
I don't know.
archived?
That's what I would love. If anybody's listening at anywhere, Cyclones TV, I can't find my Ben Barkema touchdown call from that game, and I would love to hear it again. Because I remember doing it. Like, I didn't make it up. I also, if somebody from Mediacom Connections wants to release that reality show because they made a whole TV production out of it. I haven't seen it. I'd like to watch it because the fun part for you is, and you know this,
MC22.
I won for Iowa State.
Yeah.
Chris Hassel was the winner for Iowa. 100% true story. And Hassel will deny it to this day, but it's a fact. Hassel, who is an elitist a-hole, which we all know.
He is.
Comes up to me. And again, I'm 39 now. I was 21 at the time. I just turned 21. Hassel comes up to me and goes, man, really nice job. I can't believe that they let high schoolers into this competition.
What a dick.
I was like, who are you, pal? So I remember, who's this pretty boy? Now he's national television's Chris Hassel. But at the time, I was like,
I was super pissed because the girl I was dating at the time had too many drinks. And she was very emotional and afraid of the tornado. Where I was wanting to watch. And it was like,
I would say Hilton Coliseum, probably the best place you could
It's
be.
like a bomb shelter.
Yeah, you're not.
If nuclear war ever happens, I want to be in the locker room.
I'm there. I'm going there. I'm going to Sheeman.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing about that old area is like you feel comfortable there if there's bad weather.
I mean, hell, CY Stevens wouldn't be a bad spot.
No, that's all great. All great.
Go underneath the stage there.
You'd be set.
Radioactive material ain't getting to you.
One of those games where it makes you wonder, it's surprising in a way with where Iowa is that there haven't been tornado warnings other than that one, I don't think. There have been delays.
Yeah.
Specifically in the last 6 years. But to my knowledge, that's the only tornado delay.
You just wait. We got that global warming now. Everything's heating up.
No comment from me on that. But we had the
why do you hate science?
Well, no, I don't hate South Dakota State, Iowa. Remember that one year? We didn't have a game that actually went off on time. I'm just surprised that has been the
proud
only
scientific institution like Iowa State. You're gonna be a climate denier.
Only tornado game that we have had. Say North Dakota. Is it North Dakota's the first game?
Yeah.
Just be aware.
Well, it's why they quit playing those games at night, isn't it?
100% why.
Yeah.
They don't want to.
You don't want to jack around with lightning. Yeah.
Or tornadoes.
That sucked. few things I can remember in my career that pissed me off more than that South Dakota State game, because you're waiting all year.
Oh, it was so bad.
And you had that awesome start, and then
Four plays, touchdown.
that sucked. And then the offense really needed that. If you look at what happened the next week at Iowa.
Yeah, and then this is 2018.
Yeah.
The controversy is, this is hilarious to me because I still think it was not coincidental, but they argued with me. So, Iowa in the paper that week was upset that Julian Good-Jones and somebody else.
I remember this.
I don't remember who was the other one. They each got suspended for
a game.
I don't remember what the indiscretion was, but it was for something.
It's a lot of times the first game of the year, guys will be out for a game, and it's the violation of team rules, which is usually
in the past it was like a drug test.
It's like a drug test or an OWI in the offseason, or it's something
which
like
they're
that.
changing that, by the way. They're getting rid of the cannabis related suspension.
Well, it should. I mean, like, if you go to one state, it's legal. If you go to another, it's not.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
So when that happened, so all the Iowa media are like, "Oh, you can't play him. That's not a game." And Iowa State's like, "Well, we didn't plan on."
It's not our fault.
We kind of need our It's not our fault that the game was canceled. Like, where was that? So they ended up playing him, but it caused all sorts of drama in the media that week.
Yeah.
And then I get in the Kinnick that week, and the Wi-Fi, password
you got in trouble.
Was integrity.
Yes.
And I was like, that's kind of suspicious. Like, what do we? Because they were made this whole deal about, hey, we have integrity is the key of our program. And so I wrote that, and then I got a sternly worded call from somebody at Iowa saying, "How dare you misrepresent our Wi-Fi password? You don't know what you're talking about." Anyway, I still convinced I was right. They're trying to cover it up.
Drama.
Just look
rivalries,
at me.
man.
Look at me and drama with the Iowa people.
Gotta love the rivalries. Well, that'll be it. Have a good and happy Independence Day.
No tornadoes.
No tornadoes. We appreciate all of our great sponsors, all of our great listeners. We will be back on Sunday night, where I'm guessing it's a quiet holiday, but we'll kind of dig in more to the Big 12 media days, which are coming up, and then I'll be on the road next week. We are not going to do our Wednesday pod next week because we are going to do it on Saturday when we're at Rocco's camp in Perry, which we'll have a bunch of players on. That'll be a lot of fun. Anything else?
No. Safe travels, everybody. Oh, I got to tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
You want to know what new show I started this week?
What?
New one. I think you guys are going to love it. It's called Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Watch the first 2 episodes this week.
Brent, did anybody tell you that show's like 15 years old?
It is awesome. Why didn't somebody tell me about this?
Freaking awesome.
Why didn't somebody tell me about this before? Aiden, have you watched Game of Thrones?
No, that's not really my style.
I didn't think so either, but man.
So I've seen like half the episodes. There's one episode that happens like halfway through the series that made me quit.
Uh-oh.
I stopped.
Okay. Well, at your party, your 40th gathering, I talked to your friend Coop.
Oh, yeah.
And his lovely better half, Kylie.
Yep. Nice people.
And they convinced me that I needed to jump on board. And so I did. And I'm glad I did. So now I'm going up to Northern Iowa in Armstrong. Not a lot going on. So I'm not golfing her on the boat. And the kids are with the grandparents. I might just binge out on some Thrones action. I'm pretty excited about it. I had to tell somebody and also make fun of myself because I am only, 13 years late? There you go. I know. So that's how I'm going to spend my holiday, everybody. Oh, we got a breaking news sounder.
Well, it's not really breaking because this is going to post tomorrow.
Oh, well, Monte Morris just signed with the Phoenix Suns.
All right. That a boy.
Monte. 10-year NFL and 10-year NBA vet.
His body's really come a long way. Looks, it's hard to believe that's the same guy.
Let's see what are they paying him? They get him here. Details aren't out yet. Yeah, probably mid-level. Good for him. Way to go, Monte.
All right, he's Aiden Wyatt. For Brent Blum, my name is Chris Williams, and we will be back on Sunday night here on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.